everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jill Deacon. I am the host of Here and Now on CBC Radio weekday afternoons. I'm really thrilled to be here today. CBC is a very proud partner of the Giller Prize, and this is a very exciting morning. I know you all join me in sharing that excitement. In the spirit of that, and because we have noon has crossed the yard arm, as my father says. The LCBO has given us permission. It's post 11 a.m. We're allowed to drink in this province. So please, let's raise a glass. Perret Jouet is the sponsor of today's event of the Giller Prize. Perret Jouet, the champagne that is hopefully in your hands or been offered to you today. Let's raise a toast. I'm going to borrow a line from Will Ferguson, who used this line when he won the Giller Prize for his novel 419. Let's raise a toast to the written word to begin our proceedings. So welcome. This marks the 21st anniversary of Scotiabank's Giller Prize, this 2014 edition, the most prestigious, popular award in the country, absolutely. Every year, the books nominated for this prize land on the bestsellers list, and the shortlisted authors become the most talked about in the nation. It's what people call the Giller effect. And we're here today to find out which lucky authors will get to be the beneficiaries of that effect this year. So that gives us about a month to read all the finalists if we haven't already. Hopefully you all partook of the ceremony that happened at McGill announcing the long list and have gotten started on your reading. The gala itself, at which point the winner will be announced, takes place on Monday, the 10th of November, so mark that in your calendars. And for some extra sort of excitement this year, that event will be streamed live on CBC Books at cbcbooks.ca. Also, it will be broadcast live on CBC television, and this year, for the first time, it will be broadcast live in our time zone. So we don't need to rely on Twitter to wait to find out the winners. It will be broadcast live to the Eastern time zone for Ontario and Quebec viewers on CBC television. That is not the only major change this year, as perhaps you noted at the announcement of the long list in Montreal a few weeks ago. The prize money has doubled. It was impressive enough to begin with, and now each finalist receives $10,000, and the winner of the Scotiabank 2014 Giller Prize will take home $100,000. So kudos to all involved for that. 1994 was a long time ago. We've accumulated so much Canadian literature in that time, and this prize has evolved a long way over those 21 years. That was the year that Jack Rabinovich founded this prize to honor his late wife, Doris Giller. Doris was one of Canada's most prominent and respected literary journalists. I've had a chance to speak today with some people who knew her and speak so highly of her. And it's so great that her legacy lives on in this prize. She was friends with Alice Munro and Mordecai Richler, and so Jack has succeeded in this prize in creating an award that really honors the best fiction in the country. Jack Rabinovich probably needs no introduction today. He is a renowned businessman and philanthropist, member of the Order of Canada and member of the Order of Ontario. Please join me in welcoming Jack Rabinovich.
Thank you, Jill, for those very, very kind words. As Jill pointed out, this prize was established with the help of other people, David Staines, Alice Munro, and my late friend Mordecai Richler. The overriding concept then, and the one that we still maintain, is that the prize was then and now geared to select the best initial shortlist and then the final winner to encourage people to buy and read the books. As I have said on many occasions at the gala, you know, for the price of a meal in this town, you can buy all the books. So eat at home and read the books. I recall when the prize was initially established, Mordecai, in his inimitable and unique fashion, referring to himself, David Staines and Alice Munro, he said, and I quote, "All three of us are politically incorrect." looking for the first winner of this substantial prize. It was then $25,000. We will not favor young writers over old or vice versa. We don't give a damn whether the book has been written by a man or a woman, a black, gay, or native writer, or somebody whose family has been here for 250 years. We'll be looking for the best work of fiction published by a Canadian in 1994, and we will expect you to correct us if we make the wrong choice. Those words have been our mantra for 21 years. In these 21 years, the prize has become a celebration of all Canadian writers, not just the winners. When I reminisce and think back, when I graduated from McGill, I think all the Canadian writers then alive would have made the shortlist. I can only remember 6 of them: Morty Callahan, Robertson Davies, Roger Lemelin, Hugh McClellan, and Gabrielle Raw. They would have all made the shortlist. It's quite amazing what's happened. We've come a long way, a real long way. This year, the distinguished jury, Francine Prose, Justin Cartwright and Shauna Singh Baldwin, they read 162 books to make their selection of the shortlist. I think that's quite an outstanding feat, and I think they should get a round of applause. Also deserving a lot of credit is Ilona Rabinovich, who's become a mainstay and really the spirit and principle of this prize. Ilona, would you please sort of acknowledge? A great deal of credit is also due to the CBC, who've been broadcasting the Giller Prize, the Scotiabank Giller Prize now for the last 4 years consecutively. They've brought it throughout Canada, and last year I think they had about 750,000 people who tuned in to listen to the program. I think they deserve a lot of credit for making Canadian literature knowledgeable, readable, popular across Canada. Thank you very much. I should also mention that the Scotiabank Giller Prize has become more national this year. The long list was announced at McGill in Montreal on September the 16th, and we had a crowded house. And this year we have a reading series that will take place in Halifax, Toronto, and Vancouver at various times during late October, early November. And then on November the 10th, as Jill pointed out, we have the Scotiabank Giller Prize Gala. So if you can't attend, please tune in to CBC and listen to it. Quite frank, and as Jill pointed out, the prize has become quite substantial this year. It's $100,000 for the winner and $10,000 for each of the shortlisted. There's only one caveat. We met with the jury last night, and we told them there's only one winner. Quite frankly, this could not have happened without the tremendous support of Scotiabank. It's their commitment to Canadian literature, to Canadian writers, that has made this all possible. So I think it therefore gives me great pleasure to introduce to you one of the major people behind the support from Scotiabank, the Vice President in charge of supporting the Scotiabank Giller Prize, Jackie Ryan.
Thank you, Jack. Good morning, everybody. It's my great pleasure to be here today on behalf of Scotiabank as we get ready to announce the shortlist for the 2014 Scotiabank Giller Prize. We are so fortunate here in Canada to be home to great literary talents. At Scotiabank, we believe the arts make us richer. The arts encourage us to develop new perspectives, inspiring us to pursue our passions. Canadian literature is infused with our country's unique heritage and views of the world. We support events like the Scotiabank Giller Prize because we feel literature enhances our communities and plays an important role in lives of Canadians. We are so proud of our very meaningful relationship with Jack and Ilona Rabinovich. Over the last several years together, we have worked to promote the nominees and the importance of Canadian literature. We're pleased to be further supporting these talented authors by doubling the prize purse this year. The Scotiabank Giller Prize is now the richest fiction prize in Canada. I would like to also thank our esteemed judging panel for selecting this year's shortlist. I would also like to take a moment to pay tribute to the late Doris Giller for her wonderful inspiration. I'm so excited to see what books have made this year's shortlist, and I offer my early congratulations to the authors and the selected finalists for the 2014 Scotiabank Giller Prize. Thank you.
I didn't think I was the MC. It's now my pleasure to introduce the General Manager of Programming for the CBC, Sally Caddo. Sally, come on up here. But I should say that the CBC has been tremendously wonderful in promoting the Giller Prize. Sally is responsible for the program that I watch Saturday night instead of watching the ball game. If you haven't watched The Honourable Woman, I think it's terrific. And I want to congratulate you, Sally, and the CBC on what I consider to be terrific programming.
Thanks so much. My colleagues at the CBC and I are so honored to be part of both recognizing the Scotiabank Giller long list nominees and to announce the shortlist. Being at the CBC, we're always so acutely aware of the importance of authentic Canadian voices, and the literary talent pool in this country sets the bar so high for all of us. I think that we really are grateful to Jack Rabinovich for establishing this remarkable award, which has for 21 years now really recognized and shone a light on talent across the country and made so many Canadians aware of wonderful fiction that they otherwise wouldn't know about. And we at the CBC and that television, CBC Radio, and CBC Books are so thrilled to be the broadcast partner for this phenomenal event and just to be playing a meaningful role and again shining a light on that wonderful talent and letting Canadians across the country take part in the celebration. Thanks.
Thank you, Sally. I'll resume my role, but you did a good job. All right, time to find out who the finalists are. And first, to do that, to tell us the finalists lists, we need to meet the jury. Then they are, of course, the people who worked so hard reading those 161 books submitted by 63 different publishers. It's daunting just to think about. And they did it with, I know, so much enjoyment. I had a chance to speak with them earlier, and they loved the job. So let's meet them, and we'll find out. They will let us know which of the authors are on that final list. She is an internationally acclaimed author with many awards to her name, including the Commonwealth Prize for Best Book. In 2004, her novel, The Tiger Claw, was a finalist for this very award. Please welcome Shauna Singh Baldwin. His work has won the Whitbread Novel Award and the Hawthornden Prize. His novel, In Every Face I Meet, was a finalist for the Man Booker Prize. Please welcome Justin Cartwright. And she has been a National Book Award finalist, a Guggenheim Fellow, a Fulbright Scholar, and the president of the PEN American Center. Please welcome Francine Prose. So just think this as they're talking, just remember, 161 books from 63 different publishers. That was the assignment, and here is the result.
Presenting the 2014 Scotiabank Giller Prize shortlist, beginning with The Betrayers by David Bismarckis, published by HarperCollins Publishers Limited. The jury writes, The extraordinary feat of David Bezmosic's fine novel is to have captured in one day a whole universe of betrayal and morality. There are two betrayers in the story. The first is Baruch Kotler, an elderly and well-known figure in Israel who has betrayed his wife by taking his much younger lover on a sentimental journey to Crimea. He was betrayed in Russia 40 years ago by a KGB agent, himself Jewish. David Bezmosic's has a dazzling talent, is the possessor of that rarest of skills, the ability to create fiction which is intensely serious, but which also vividly encompasses the absurdity and comedy of life.
Tell by Francis Itani, published by HarperCollins Publishers. The jury's view is that every word feels simple, right, and natural. You're slowly immersed in the mystery. Who gave up a baby for adoption and why? Itani peels back time to show us Keenan, a damaged and disfigured World War I soldier, readjusting to life in Ontario, and his marriage to Tress. Itani inhabits many voices with pathos and humor. Her choice of detail expertly builds our understanding of her character's times, foibles, and moral choices, and she connects them in a hugely satisfying ending. Tell is a treasure, serious with humorous moments, potent and controlled, subtle yet deeply moving.
Us Conductors by Sean Michaels, published by Random House, Canada. Michaels' book is based on the life of Lev Theremin, the Russian-born inventor of the theremin, the most ethereal of musical instruments. As the narrative shifts countries and climates from the glittery brightness of New York in the 1920s to the leaden cold of the Soviet Union under Stalin, the grace of Michaels' style makes these times and places seem entirely new. He succeeds at one of the hardest things a writer can do. He makes music seem to sing from the pages of a novel.
The Girl Who Was Saturday Night by Heather O'Neill, published by HarperCollins Publishers Limited. The Girl Who Was Saturday Night describes what it is like to be young and to have a lifetime of experience and grief already behind you. Even as it gives us a cast of vibrant, funny, tragic, sharply drawn characters, O'Neill broadens her focus to portray the political climate in Quebec at the time of the 1995 referendum, and to give us a sense of why, in the words of her narrator, the daughter of an iconic Quebecois singer, there is something distinct, something weird and special about us.
All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews, published by Alfred Knopf, Canada. The jury writes, this is a novel of great subtlety and insight. Toews has an exceptional talent for observing the life as we live it in our time. Her book, based on the bond between two sisters, one of whom is bent on suicide, is a deep and affecting portrait of love, loyalty, and reckoning. Out of this material, Toews brilliantly crafts a novel of a family in disarray. Despite the darkness of the subject matter, All My Puny Sorrows is both serious and outrageously funny. Do not be misled. This is art masquerading as light fiction.
The Ever After of Ashwin Rao by Padma Vishwanathan, published by Random House, Canada. Scotch-drinking, McGill-educated psychologist Ashwin Rao wrote about those bereaved by India's state-sponsored anti-Sikh pogrom of 1984. In 2004, he returns to Canada researching another book on comparative grief, attending the trial over the 1985 bombing of Air India 182, a bombing that claimed 329 lives, including his sister and her children. Guided by Vishwanathan's ever-compassionate gaze and her ability to render a polyglot world in English, Ashwin meets Canadians affected by the tragedy, some as complex as himself. This often droll, fiercely intelligent novel, with its cat's cradle of a plot, challenges the twin deadly lures of religious fundamentalism and racism, revealing the learning and unlearning at the core of the immigrant experience. Please help us celebrate the 6 books on the 2014 Scotiabank Giller Prize shortlist.
So much clapping this morning. Thank you so much to the jurors for mastering the technology, telling us the list, and for all the work that you did going into this. They do deserve another huge round of applause for all their work. And just so we hear it all at once, there it is, the final list. The Betrayers by David Bezmojis, Tell by Francis Itani, Us Conductors by Shawn Michaels, The Girl Who Was Saturday Night by Heather O'Neill, All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews, and The Ever After of Ashwin Rao by Padma my turn to mispronounce, Vishwanathan. Thank you all for being here. And just a reminder, CBC Television and cbcbooks.ca live streaming will be broadcasting the announcement of the winner on the 10th of November to find out which of these fantastic novels will be the winner of the 2014 Giller Prize. So we have until then to get them all read. Thanks once again to Scotiabank, du Perrier-Jouet for starting our morning off right, to Soho House for hosting us in this smashing setting, and for the breakfast that's probably just like the one you had at home this morning, and to the Scotiabank Giller Prize for putting on this event. A final and probably most sincere thanks to Jack Ravinovich, without whom none of this would be happening and would be possible. And if you do want to have words for the media, if you do want to have words with the jury, maybe let them grab something to eat, and they will be available right after this. Thank you for joining us for the festivities, and get reading.